Hello everybody, Attack Power here with another deck building video for Steel Division 2 here with 20th Panzergrenadier. Let's dive right in here to definitely one of the weaker Axis divisions that you can choose going into 1v1. Now I know in 10v10 this thing is a totally different conversation, quite a beast, has a lot of tools and powerful things to work with that your allies and in multiplayer as well can help make up for. In single player though, in 1v1, this division is extremely hard to use well. There's just a lot, I mean a lot of limitations that you have to work around. So it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Now, there are tournament settings where this division can do quite well, and it's really basically on the Slits maps, exclusively. Ostrono maybe, but not, I wouldn't even say there, because you just don't have the forest fighting ability. On the Slits maps, this division can find success. We've seen it used in several tournament settings where we saw wins with this division. But outside of that, just hopping in the quick play queue, your chances are very low. So the deck kind of has to be a Maverick sort of deck. You just don't have the depth. It's just very restrictive points-wise, just like across the board. You don't get a ton of infantry, not a ton of recon. It's hard to get a lot of tanks once you fill everything else in. It's a lot of things got to go right in terms of the deck building. So I just think Maverick's a little bit easier. You're using your points to use your really powerful, unique units. Now, there is a lot of cool stuff in this division. I will say that. It's an extremely unique division. There's no doubt about it. It's got some of the most unique units in the game. So let's dive in and check some of these out. Now, the Recon tab is not where you find them, though. Here we have A and B phase cards of Aufklade. Double check. Yeah, there is nothing fun here at all. So we're taking the Kubel MG just for extra recon because 5 points is not a big commitment to get a little bit more recon, and these do technically have very high optics. I mean, they're still not as good actually as the Aufklade. I know they both said very high, but I'm pretty confident that they actually do have different spotting values at the end of the day. Things are not taking the BMW, the KFZ. I don't know why in the universe you'd ever take this. Maybe this for the radio. Spare Troop, we've talked a billion times why these are essentially useless when compared to an Aufklade or something. Why you'd ever take this, I don't know. Infantry tab. There is very little special here, next to nothing, but there are two unique units that do help out in the struggles here. The first is the Stostrup, just a straight Stostrup here. This thing did get buffed, I don't know, a patch or two ago. It's 15 points, but the availability was buffed. So you now get 8 of them in A phase, or I think, is it 16? Yeah, 16 in B phase. That is a fair number of these. You can really kind of pepper the board with them in a nice way. So it gives you a little bit of CQC fighting firepower that actually a lot of Panzer divisions don't get to work with. And while this is technically called a Panzergrenadier division, and for all intents and purposes, it functions as a Panzer division, a very hobbled one, I guess. I'm not even sure how to describe this division exactly, but I view it more as a tank division than any sort of infantry division. So we have the Stostrup, and then we have a card of Panzergrenadier DP, which only show up here and I believe in 20th Panzer. I think those are the only two places you might run into this unit. It is a unique and technically very powerful unit. It's a 20-point double LMG unit. There are very few of these in the game. It's very rare that a double LMG unit is only 20 points and not 25. That's kind of like the baseline for double LMGs. I know there's a couple, sprinkled throughout, and usually they are like a very small squad. Like if it's a double LMG unit, it's usually a 5-man squad or something like that for 20 points. Here we see a full infantry squad for the double DP. Now it's DP28s. These aren't like MG 34s or 42s or anything like that, but still DP28. I mean, you pay 25 points for 2 Strelky DPs to hold it. So, this is actually a very solid unit. I mean, this is a very good unit actually at the end of the day. You only get one, so we're bringing in an A, so just because A, you don't actually have that many points at the end of the day. It's 5 points more than balance. So you're not really at a huge income advantage in A phase. So these help you get through A phase. Then we have another card of Sturm Pioneers. I actually do want to be able to fight in close range because the problem is your tanks and armor will dominate open areas, but you have a extremely difficult time fighting in any sort of tight areas, towns specifically. It's a big issue because there's really you notice there's no armor cars here, right? We have no SPWs, SDKFZs. We have nothing of that nature to help work our way through medium range stuff. So I have pushed the infantry tab to be a little bit more CQC based. The other issue is too, you don't actually get that many Panzergrens. Weirdly enough, you get 4 cards, which is technically a lot, but when you got to survive through the game, it doesn't go that far. And then we have another card of Panzerfaust here in A phase. So, plenty of infantry to get through A phase. You will actually go through them pretty quick. because they are cheap. These first two cards are really quite cheap. Then we have, I'm pretty sure too, there's a availability increase to the Sturm Pioneers coming, I think, to like 6. It's not anything crazy, but you do get more. B-Phase, Sturm Pioneer, another card of Panzergrenadier. This one does not have the Panzerfaust, and this one does. So, you know, I mean, we end up here with 59 infantry, which is not for a Maverick deck, which is nicely in line, right? Everything's vetted here. No infantry leader. That does suck. But we do have that over in the RD tab there for those. We're not taking Ersatz. I find Ersatz, once again, to just be utterly useless. I find them in 1v1 to have so little purpose these days. Such a small... Yes, they can hold some ground. I'm not taking that away from them. But they hold it so poorly. They don't hold it, right? They literally just... if nobody is there, they affect the front line. Outside of that, they are utterly useless. They put down essentially no damage. They're very bad. And my problem with these, especially in like a Maverick deck, is you need to push. Like even starting in A phase when you don't have tons of points, you need to be making ground. These guys cannot make ground. They cannot make forward progress. They do no damage to units, and essentially every unit in the game will beat them. So they're really useless for actually making ground. So that's why I can't see any reason to take these out for anything else. Like I said, would love a leader. We do have some in the RD tab, so that's why we're passing. Pioneers, again, it's the same discussion with Pioneers all the time. They're fine. They don't do anything spectacular, right? I would just prefer a Sturm Pioneer to actually feel like I can win at CQC. These guys don't really win, quote unquote, at CQC. They just kind of suicide themselves against other CQC units in the hopes that they clear the way for your non-CQC infantry. It's kind of all they do. The Sturm Pioneers actually win at CQC. Like, they fight and gain ground in the Stoll Strip. They actually, you know, like, want to be in the woods. These guys they barely want to be in the woods. This is like, oh, crap. I need some way to get this good CQC unit out of the woods. I have to micromanage this unit to throw its grenades to it. It's just not, yeah. So that's why we're not taking it. Panzergrenadier Fear, I don't know why you would ever take that over the Pioneer Fear. I can't conceive of why. Like, you get smoke, but, like, so what? Big whoops. I'd much prefer to save 5 points. And honestly, the grenade, for me, comes in handy way more often than you'd expect. Like, oh, crap, they've stumbled upon my leader. You're going to lose it anyway. Well, at least it takes him with him. I don't know. Continuing on, though, the tank tab. There are some neat things here. I mean, the first unique thing is the whole tab is Stug 4s. Talked about many times in the past why that's amazing. Stug 4s are incredible. They are arguably the best medium tank in the game because they just body every other medium tank in this price range really well. They can trade up to way more expensive units successfully, you know, up to T-34-85s, up to Tigers and stuff at closer range even. You know, they trade really well. Stugs always do. But the difference between this and the Stug 3 and the Stug 4, of course, is that extra 10 millimeters of armor. It seems small, but it's not. Like, it makes such a huge difference when battling T-34-76s, which do 90 millimeters of penetration, when fighting Shermans, which have 90 millimeters of penetration. Excuse me, T-34-76s have 100. Excuse me. That does make a big difference, though. So it makes these things so much more survivable against allied armor. They have to commit so many more resources to killing these consistently. It's no longer the, like, flip a coin, I really hope that Sherman doesn't pen me. It's more like the Sherman is extremely unlikely to get 2 penetrations, even at closer ranges, like even at, 500,000 meter range. Very unlikely to get 2 penetrations against this in a row. This will, of course, penny every time. So Stug 4s are phenomenal. So I'm taking A phase, the leader Stug 4, and the regular Stug 4, B phase, the Stug 4. Now, what I'm not taking here, the Panzer 5.4 Fear, which is a Panzer 4 turret on top of a Panther chassis. And I believe historically this didn't actually work. I believe the turret did not turn, if I'm not mistaken. In-game, it functions as a normal tank. Now, I actually did have this in the deck because it's unique and fun. The fact of the matter is, though, that is not the proper way to build it because you'll end up with 1 tank instead of 3. And the Stug 4, while actually slightly worse, right, because the Panzer 5.4 here has 105 millimeters armor, which is even better, and it has 55 kilometers an hour movement speed, and it has leader, right? It does all these great things. You only get 1 of them, and that is really restrictive in this deck, where you don't have a ton of other ways to spend your points. Like, you don't actually get a ton of units in this deck. Like, everything's so unique that the cards come really compact. So taking another card that only gives you 1 unit just feels really bad to me, which is why I'm taking the Strug Force. If you're looking for fun under the sun, take this. It's unique and neat. But if you are optimizing for victory, you really should be taking... I mean, and you could even take the other card of Strug 4 leaders, like if you just want to do that, like get 1 less Strug 4. But then you're really kind of cutting down on that advantage of, only having 1, so you're moving only up to 2. Like 3 feels like you're actually making a jump, like you're actually adding a fair number of, it's 2 extra tanks. That actually makes a difference. 1 more, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just do this at that point. That's my thought process there. So yeah, there's not much to do here, but it gets expensive really fast. The other issue is these are already 3-point slots, which is pretty brutal. Support tab, phenomenal. This is where, your Slits maps, this is why this division does really well. We have Flammenwerfers, you need them, you got to grab ground early, and you got to actually be able to fight in the close range. IG-18, great little support gun, always has been, always will be, nice in the middle. It's no OB-25, but it has its moments as well, and it's another kind of roadblock the opponent has to work their way through. 2 cards of MG-42s. I'm doubling up. Infantry tab, really can't get it done on its own, so the double MG-42 can go a long way here. IG-33, super important unit for actually killing soft targets, which you don't actually have a ton of ways to do here, but it's really important to keep those bigger AT guns away from your precious big tanks that you have later in the game. I would even consider putting these in B phase, but they probably belong in A phase. Then we have another unique unit to the division, the BEF Tiger, Beef Tiger. It's obviously not pronounced that way, but I like saying that. Beef. So this is the, I know, the comments tell me the answer to this every single time I go over this unit. So what it is, this is the failed Tiger prototype for Horsch, I want to say. The history is kind of irrelevant, but, they were so confident they were going to get the contract for the Panzer 5 or Panzer 6. Panzer 6, yeah. Panzer 6 or Tiger, that they kind of like built like 100 prototypes or something like that. And this is one of them that actually like got into combat. In game here, it is a phenomenal unit. I'm usually not a huge fan of expensive commander tanks, because when they die, you lose your commander and a really good unit, and you kind of have to make them fight because they're so expensive. But this unit is an absolute monster. If you notice here, it's got the same gun as a Tiger, the KWK 36L56, which is a good gun, but not phenomenal, right? It's got a really slow rate of fire for most tanks, and the penetration, while good, is not phenomenal, right? But what makes this unit really good is that armor. 170 millimeters of armor makes it very difficult to kill, just in general. Really, the only things that are realistically killing this consistently are opposing Axis super heavy armor. IS-2s, of course, are dangerous and can kill this, but at max range, the chances are low. Obviously, you don't want this fighting IS-2s because your own gun can not really kill IS-2s at max range either. So, that's not what this is for. This is for just bodying every other tank in the game easy, right? There's really nothing else outside of those 2 categories that can really kill this thing. So you call this in early, you get that commander love. That's why we have these tank leaders, so we can get, that commander leader support out there, and you take advantage of having a commander out and a really strong unit. Because really, when you think about it, a commander is 100 points, right? When you think, like, the infantry squad is 105 technically here, commandant. It's actually 110, excuse me. So really, the commander ability, quote unquote, is 110 points, right? So really, you're getting a big tank for 65 more points, which of course is a good deal, right? Or you can look at the other way, where this tank probably would cost about 175 points. Like, this is honestly what it would cost as just a tank, and the commander ability is getting slapped on it for free. That's probably a better way to look at it, like when you think about it, right? Because a Tiger is 125, like a regular Tiger. This has 45 millimeters more armor, which is significant, right? So that would probably put it in this price range anyway, and now you're just getting commander on it, which is pretty sick. So yeah, there's really nothing else here to take. We don't need ammo. There's a little bit of artillery that I'm bringing ammo for. So anti-tank tab. This is generally the reason people are playing this division, is this tab right here. Panzergrenadier, nothing exciting. Pack 40s, you only get 1 card, something to be aware of, which does kind of suck, but it is what it is. Oops, accidentally put them in the KFZ-70. You do not want to do that. You want to put them in the Opel Blitz. It's better, faster, and there's absolutely no difference other than the speed. Then we have a Jagdpanzer 4. You all know I love my Jagdpanzer 4s. These are great. Fabulous unit. Absolutely dominates most armor in the game that isn't super expensive. Can trade even with Tigers and Panthers and things at half decent range. The difference, it does not have that 2,000 meter range. So just be aware, it's missing that 2K. You're not forcing out super heavy tanks, but it does fire faster, it fires actually really fast. To be, honest, it's great. Absolutely dominates medium tanks. There's basically no medium tank that can kill this 1v1. Second card in B phase. This is like the extension of our tank tab here, and then of course the main attraction to this division, the Elephant. The Elephant is one of the good old Axis super heavy tanks that does what it does, which is not much, right? You're at least in 1v1, right? In 10v10, in multiplayer, this unit has a lot of utility because it just attracts so much attention. In 1v1, what this does, and if you're not, I'm not going to go into the whole rant this time. Go check out my 16th Luftwaffe deck building video. I go on a whole rant on the King Tiger, and this falls into the exact same category as the King Tiger. All this really does is block out a chunk of the map. It basically is ground control, trying to control area, which is why this division is really only good on Sluts, because it's big open areas, right? This can completely dominate the open area of Sluts, where your opponent just can't really interact with that part of the map anymore because of this being there. So that's really all it does. It rarely kills things because the opponent knows it's never gonna. They know they're never gonna kill this thing, so they don't waste their time like trying to send units after it. You move this up too aggressively. The only way this dies is someone finds a side shot on it or something. So it makes it disincentivizes you to move, like push really hard with it. It's obviously a unit that sits back and takes advantage of its immense gun and armor. Very little in game can kill this, right? Even other King Tigers Elephants struggle to kill this. It's just one of those things. We're taking literally one in B phase with one vet. There's not a lot of reason to be calling in more of these, and this makes it function a lot better with the one veterancy. You get 3 cards of these things. If you desperately want one, I guess you could cut some other useful unit for it, or you could go down to 1 no vet on this and you get 2, but you really shouldn't be calling in that many of these things, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, if we're playing an efficient 1v1 trying to win, Jagdpanzer 4s are just more effective and useful than this in every situation. And here, this tab is really strong, but very small. It doesn't look small, but it actually is, right? So A phase, I know, shocking. Actually, why am I doing this? Oh, that's why. You get 20 mils, but they come with ammo. That is the reason to take these in A phase. They come with these nice little Muni wagons, which are really nice. I mean, it's a full 10,000 supply. It's a 40-point ammo. It comes with a little 20 mil. We don't care about this. We care about this thing coming in. That's why we don't need the sport. I remember now why there's no ammo in the sport. So that's really nice. You get the free. It's not free literally, but activation point wise, it is free. Why do I not mind wasting an AA tab on this? Because your AA is kind of bonkers, actually. You have the Flak Panzer T-34 and the Flak Panzer Panther. One of each, right? They literally only come A phase locked, and one of each. And it's literally a Flak-Villing 38, same as this thing, on a T-34 chassis and on a Panther chassis. Although the Panther chassis is way less armor. Yeah, I mean, these do exactly what AA does. Now, these do function fundamentally differently than your average SDKFZ, like over here. This, you never want on the front lines, right? Anything can kill it. It's got no armor. It dies very easily. You protect these with your life. These, on the other hand, in this deck, are meant to be used a lot more aggressively. Think Crusader AA on the Commonwealth, where this is actually on the front lines eviscerating infantry. That is what it does. It absolutely just deletes them. An infantry is spotted by this. Within 5 seconds, the infantry is dead. It's pretty nuts, actually. You don't see it often because you don't want this unit, which is the primary version of this, to be spotted by infantry. This gets 10 full health, which means it can take 2 hits without dying, which is a big deal. You can be a little bit more, aggressive with it. And then it's right on the front lines, and it fully blocks things from attacking, via the air by itself. So these are very strong. They're very expensive, obviously. You have to still be careful with them. I'm not saying they just, can be just driven through everything. But if you ever watch people play with this division, like high-tier players play with this division, a big factor of it is using these 2 units well and aggressively at the beginning of the game. Things we're not taking, more 20 mils. That's enough. This is more than enough, honestly. Flak 36. Again, if I didn't have the munition on here, I'd definitely take these. The 88. You don't need 2K anything. You really don't at all, especially bad 2K like this. Artillery tab. Yep, you're seeing it. I know. I'm doing it again because not a lot of reason to bring something else, and you got to win fast in this division. And it's air. Again, you notice like off map, I'm okay. I'm semi-okay with off map when it comes in the sky, because then I know where it's coming. As my opponent gets like a heads up, they have a chance to stop it. It feels like the way off map should be is preventable and predictable. Like, okay, he's dropping off map in this place, probably. He's not just suddenly wiping out my map. So yeah, we are taking the off map here. Battery Fear, like I talked about, B phase, and the SK-18 in just a regular multi-tier here. Only 80 points. Why? Because we can. Because actually, is this faster? Let me check really quick. Is this faster? 53. Where's, oh, I can't. Crap. 53. Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, let's switch that quick. Should be in the SDK. There we go. Anyway, yeah, I like the SK-18 over the 150s here. Just a lot more efficient at counter battery, and they're much cheaper here. You know, they're 40 points less. I can get 3 of these for the price of 2 of these, and I would prefer 3 of these over 2 of these at the end of the day. So that's why we're taking these. Ammo coming in the AA tab, which is nice. Other things, Bale-Boctor, no reason. 81 mortar, again, to me, it's just not high impact enough. If this was a radio mortar, I would definitely consider it, but probably take it over the off map. But none of these things excite me, and the off map for this division, you got to make ground and you got to make it early. So unfortunately, the off map becomes a somewhat necessary yet disgustingly morally ambiguous evil. Air tab. We have a Focke-Wulf Recon here. It's not great. Even now while I'm looking at it, I'm considering taking it out because it's just ugly. It's just an ugly recon plane. Then we have the Ju-87 Brook, which is a nice. I mean, Ju-87s, like I've said lately, are just great. At the medium resilience, this is a nice bomb loadout. Will kill basically any static target. You get 4 of them at 1 veterancy, which also decreases their AA stress a little bit. I mean, that's phenomenal. Like, it's honestly phenomenal. And then the BF-109 G2 coming in B phase for more bombing fun. I don't love this unit at all, but it's kind of what we have here. Things we're not taking the Ju-87 Recon. It's just a more expensive version of this at the end of the day. Yes, obviously this is more survivable, but this is only 20 points versus the 45 points here. This happens to come with radio, which is kind of nice. Yeah. BF-109 G2, it's a bad fighter. My AA is really strong. No reason for it. And this technically can do fighter duty. Ju-87, the D5 variant with the bigger bomb loadout, you just get a lot less of them. And I don't see me calling in 4 of these to start. Like 4 is already pushing the limit where your opponent's going to really start leaning into AA. You know, the goal is to be pressuring them, so AA is not the thing they want to be buying. But, you know, more of these I don't think pays off in the long run. BF-109 G6 U4 is a good fighter. Like, it's not amazing, but it is definitely much better than just like a BF-G2 or something. BF-109 G2, but again, we don't need it. The AA is really strong. BF-109 G6 BR-21 with the rockets. These are just the most inconsistent unit in the game. Sometimes they are fine, and they do exactly what you hope they'll do. And sometimes they're just absolute trash on a stick. Like, it's just like, there's no in-between for this unit. It either does exactly what you want. Both rockets hit exactly on target, and it's great because they're fast. They come in. They're hard to kill because the rockets don't require you to fly all the way over the opponent's their area. But a lot of times, a little bit of AA spreads the rockets out, and they end up doing nothing, which is why I'm not taking these. So, yeah, 20th Panzergrenadier. Not a great division for the Q, that's for sure. A very interesting division for limited tournament use, and I think a very solid division in multiplayer, like more than 1v1. Otherwise, definitely C tier in my opinion. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe, check out the Patreon, link down below or the YouTube membership. Thanks a bunch, everybody, and have a fantastic day.